Hello everyone. Okay, next we will see oxygen family in the P block, as we have discussed already nitrogen family, that is 15th group family. Fine. Now we will discuss 16th group family. You see, boron family was the large family. It was not large, but due to the exception and due to the reasons for the all exception, it was a lengthy. Fine. Then if you see carbon family, the exception was less. Then you see nitrogen family, the exception was less. And now if you see oxygen family, the exception in this is less than that of the nitrogen family. Fine. So there are very few exceptions, and there are few properties which we will study in the 16th group, 17th group and 18th group. Fine. So it will not take much time. Now if you see oxygen family, that is 16th group family, that is 16th group family, and that is what called oxygen family. Okay, oxygen, or you may say chalcogen family. Is it or not? Okay, fine. If you see the elements, that is oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium, which are present in the 16th group family. If we write electronic configuration, then I'll again write number of period first, and if you see oxygen is in the second period, third period, fourth, fifth and sixth, and we now already know that from the fourth there will be a d orbital, and for the sixth period there will be an filling of f orbital is there. Now first of all we will write the noble gas, that is helium for the oxygen, that is neon for the sulfur, argon, krypton, and last is xenon for the polonium. Okay, you see the general configuration is NH2 NP4, so we can write 2s2 2p4. likewise we can write for the sulfur 3s2 3p4, likewise 3d10 4s2 and 4p4, likewise you can write 4d10 5s2 and 5p4, and likewise 4f14 5d10 6s2 6p4. Is it or not? Yes. Okay, if you write the metallic character, then oxygen and sulfur both are non-metal. Okay, they are non-metal. Likewise if you write for these two, then these are metalloid, these are metalloid. Okay, sorry, these are metalloid. Okay, this one is the metal, and polonium is the radioactive element. Okay, fine. Again metallic character, okay, top to bottom decreases, sorry, top to bottom increases. Is it or not? Okay, we are moving forward the non-metal to metal in the table. Fine. Okay, next we will see the allotropes and the states. So if you see the physical states, then oxygen is in the diatomic form O2, that is diatomic form, and it is in the diatomic form and it is in the gaseous phase. Okay, likewise if you see sulfur, selenium and tellurium, these all are in the polyatomic form, okay, and these are the solids in state. Fine, solid in state, and you can write polonium, that is metal, and metal always in the monoatomic form, and it is in the solid phase. Okay, so these are the state for the elements. If you see next, that is allotropy. Okay, allotropes. So oxygens are having two allotropes, that is O2 and O3. O2 means oxygen, dioxygen, ozone, that is O3, which is having three different color in gas, solid and liquid phase. Fine. In the gaseous state it is violet color, it is dark violet color in the liquid phase, and purple black color in the solid phase. I am writing here oxygen is having three different states, that is in the gaseous phase it is violet in color, in the liquid state it is in the dark violet color, okay, and in the solid state it is a purple black color, okay. Okay, fine. Okay, second we will see the allotropes of the sulfur. So sulfur is having 4 allotrope, that is monoclinic, and we can call it as a beta sulfur, fine. Again rhombic sulfur, okay, rhombic sulfur is what called alpha sulfur, okay. Third one is the plastic sulfur, and fourth one is the sulfur, fourth one is the amorphous sulfur. So these are the 4 allotropes of sulfur. Now if I write allotropes for the selenium, then selenium is having total 6 allotropes, fine, in which 4 are crystalline, and 2 are gray, or 2 are amorphous, okay. Now if you see crystalline amorphous, out of the 4, 3 are in the red form and 1 is in the gray form, okay. 3 is in the red form and 1 is in the gray form. Likewise here 1 is in the red form and 1 is in the gray form, okay, clear. So these are the 6, see, allotropes. There are total 4 seleniums which are red in color, but they are different in a crystal packing, and that's why they are called allotropes, fine, okay, fine. If you see tellurium here, it is having only 1 allotrope, and that is a semi-metal, that is like a semi-metal, and it resembles the silver. Silver like allotrope is of tellurium. And if you talk about polonium now, then polonium is having 2 allotropes, that is alpha and beta, okay. Alpha is having cubic structure and beta is having rhombohedral crystal, okay. Beta is having rhombohedral, okay, fine. Next we will see the physical properties, and those physical properties we will start with the atomic radius, fine. We will start with the atomic radius, fine. So next, atomic radius, okay, atomic radius. Next we will see ionization enthalpy. Third we will see electronegativity. Fourth we will see density, okay. If you consider these all properties, then there is no change. All are having regular order. But if you consider here electron gain enthalpy, then it should be top to bottom decreases. Then here there is one exception, okay. There is one exception. Oxygen is having lowest electron gain enthalpy than the other elements of the 16 group. So highest is of the sulfur, then selenium, then tellurium, then polonium, and last is of oxygen. Why is it so? Oxygen is smaller in the size, and there is 2 oxygen which is in the diatomic form, and here if you see there are 2 lone pairs on each oxygen atom. Now if you see there is a smaller size than nitrogen atom, and there are 2 lone pairs, and if you consider nitrogen atom, then nitrogen is having larger size and 1 lone pair, and if you consider oxygen atom, there is a smaller in size and there are 2 lone pairs on each oxygen atom. Now if you add 1 more electron, there of course it will repel, okay, there will be a more repulsion than attraction. So if there is a more repulsion, there is a lower stability, and that's why there is a less amount of electron gain enthalpy released, fine. Okay, so electron gain enthalpy is having some exception, and that is oxygen should be first in the line, but it is last in the line. Okay, so from this we can draw some conclusion about the catenation. Okay, again here sulfur sulfur bond is stronger than oxygen oxygen bond. Okay, this one is called bond strength. Why is it so? Because here due to these two lone pair there is much more repulsion and this bond is having some strain. Okay, that's why it breaks easily than that of the sulfur's bond, and that's why bond strength is of sulfur is more than that of the oxygen. Are we clear? Okay, so if you write catenation property, then of course in the catenation sulfur is having more catenation than oxygen. Oxygen maximum can bind with the other two oxygen, that is total 3 oxygen can combine and that forms ozone, but here sulfur can form up to 20 sulfur atoms. S8 already we know, it is in the crown shape, we know that. Cyclic sulfur if you take, then there will be a S6 molecule, and now in a recent study there is an sulfur which combines in an polyatomic state to form S6 to S20 sulfur possible structures. Fine? Okay, but if we consider just in crown shape, then there is an 8 sulfur atom which is bonded with each other. So if you can see, catenation of the sulfur is more than that of the oxygen atom. Is it or not? Fine. Okay. Now next if you see oxidation state, next oxidation state. Okay, here if you see oxygen, then it shows -2, -1, +1 and +2 oxidation state, and here +1 and +2 oxidation states are only with the fluorine atom, because the oxygen is the second highest electronegative atom in the periodic table. So only with the fluorine oxygen shows positive oxidation state. Instead of other element, oxygen shows always negative oxidation state. Okay, fine. If you see the sulfur, then there is be a -2, +2, +4 and +6 oxidation state. If you see selenium, if you see tellurium, and if you see polonium here, the selenium also shows -2 to +6 oxidation state like in the sulfur. This also shows -2 to +6 oxidation state like it is in the sulfur. But if you see polonium, it only shows +2 and +4 oxidation state due to inert pair effect. Due to inert pair effect, it does not show +6 oxidation state. Okay, we people know that now. That is a general reason. Before this we have studied many times what is inert pair effect and why. Okay, fine. Now you see non-metallic character decreases, metallic character increases. So top to bottom -2 oxidation state stability decreases. Is it or not? Yes. If you see top to bottom, even +6 oxidation state stability also decreases. Okay, so +6 oxidation state is more stable for the sulfur than selenium and then tellurium. Okay, if you see top to bottom, +2 oxidation state stability increases. Okay, so if you compare +2 oxidation state of sulfur and +2 oxidation state of polonium, then polonium's +2 oxidation state is more stable than that of the sulfur's +2 oxidation state. Are we clear up to this? Okay, so these are the oxidation states of the 16th group family. Okay, fine. Next we will see the compounds with the hydrogen. Okay, compounds with the hydrogen. So reactivity with hydrogen with H2. Okay, now I am telling you general reactivity order. Reactivity reactivity top to bottom decreases. Top to bottom decreases. What does that mean? Oxygen is more reactive in the 16th group family, and selenium, polonium are the least reactive in the 16th group comparatively. Okay, comparatively in the 16th group oxygen is more reactive. We are having some proofs. You see, if you see reactivity with hydrogen, oxygen directly reacts with the hydrogen. Air oxygen can even directly reacts with the hydrogen to form 2H2O, you see. And if you want to prepare the same for the sulfur, if you burn sulfur in the presence of air, or you can say if you burn sulfur in the presence of hydrogen, then H2S will not form. Fine, but here you have to prepare it in direct preparation, that you are preparing in the laboratory. You are taking sulfide FeS and you are keeping in the presence of H2SO4. It will produce FeSO4 and H2S. So that is what called indirect preparation of H2S. Likewise, same for the Se and A2Se. If reacts with the H2SO4, it forms Na2SO4, it forms Na2SO4 plus H2Se. Okay. So other hydrogenated compounds are prepared by indirect preparation, and only hydrogen is prepared by the direct preparation, direct reaction between hydrogen and oxygen. Okay. So this one is the reaction with hydrogen. Now we will some properties of these hydrides. Okay, or you can say hydrogenated compounds of 16th group. Fine. So I'll write melting point order, I'll write boiling point order, then I will write covalent character. Okay, covalent character. Next thing we will write thermal stability, thermal stability. Next thing we write acidity. Okay. Okay, and last thing we will write bond angle. Okay, so if you see melting point and boiling point, we have discussed earlier for the HF and NH3. HF forms strong hydrogen bond in the liquid phase, NH3 forms strong hydrogen bond in the solid phase, but H2O forms hydrogen bond in the liquid and solid phase. But if you see, H2O forms hydrogen bond weaker than NH3 in the solid phase. Okay, if you see strength of hydrogen bond, you see strength of hydrogen bond. If you see NH3 in the solid phase, NH3 forms strong hydrogen bond and HF forms weak, and H2O is in the between. Likewise, this one in the solid form. Likewise, if you write it for the liquid form, okay, in the liquid form, HF forms the strong hydrogen bond, H2O is in between, and NH3 forms weaker hydrogen bond than these two both. Okay, but now you see this form only one hydrogen bond, this also forms only one hydrogen bond, but this H2O forms two hydrogen bond, and that's why for the melting point and boiling point purpose, always H2O is the first, or you can say it is the highest melting point and boiling point. Fine. So H2O is having the highest, both are same, and then H2TE, then H2SE, and then H2S. As we have discussed for the 13th and 14th group, it is the orders are always reversed. Okay, we have seen in the 15th family for the NH3, ASH3, SBH3, BiH3, PH3, if you remember, the order are just like the reverse, top to bottom it is increases, but NH3 was having the higher melting point, and likewise here in H2O, top to bottom it is increases, but H2O is having the highest melting point and boiling point, and other order is the reverse, TE, SE and S. So for the melting point and boiling point, the overall order would be H2O, H2T, H2SE and H2S. Now if you see covalent character, there is a less difference between electronegativity, more the covalent character is. Again I am saying less difference between electronegativity, more the covalent compound is. If larger electronegativity difference is there, the compound is ionic. Okay, now you see here, which is having more electronegativity? Oxygen, then sulfur, then selenium, and then tellurium. Okay, hydrogen's electronegativity is same. Okay, now you see, I am putting hydrogen here. Hydrogen is fixed here. Oxygen was here, which is having higher electronegativity difference. Now electronegativity of sulfur is smaller than oxygen, so difference decreases, selenium decreases, tellurium further decreases. So between tellurium and hydrogen there is less difference between electronegativity, so more the covalent nature is. Okay, so top to bottom covalent nature is increases. Fine. So H2O, H2SE, H2S, H2SE and H2TE. Is it or not? Yes. If you see thermal stability, then here again there will be a concept of bond length. Oxygen hydrogen bond length is smaller and hydrogen tellurium bond length is larger. Okay, so larger the bond length, lesser the bond strength, and you can easily break that molecule, and there is lower thermal stability. Okay, so thermal stability is H2O, H2S, H2SE, H2TE. Okay, okay, acidity and bond angle. If you see again the bond length concept, tellurium and hydrogen bond length is larger and hydrogen and oxygen's bond length is smaller. So oxygen will not easily liberate H plus ion and tellurium will easily liberate H plus ion due to weaker bond. Fine, that's why H2TE is more acidic than H2SE. Okay, but here we will compare only H2S, H2SE and H2TE. Okay, you can write H2O, there is no problem. H2O, H2S, H2SE and H2TE. Fine. Okay, if you write bond angle, according to VSEPR theory, bond angle is largest in the H2O, then H2S, then H2SE and then H2TE. We will not discuss here in detail. I am writing VSEPR theory. Okay. The last thing, if you see the reduction, that is reducing character, if you see, then easily the H plus liberation, the more reducing is the compound is. Fine. So here if you see in the covalent character, H2O, H2S, H2S and H, the more hydrogen liberated fast in the H2T. Why? Because the bond length is larger and bond strength is smaller. Okay, smaller the bond length. So here I can write covalent character and reducing nature are the same, and it increases down the group. Reducing nature also increases down the group. Again, what is reducing nature? Easy liberation of hydrogen, that is what a reducing character is. Okay, so fast liberation of hydrogen, more the reduction nature is, more the reductive nature is, and that's why the order would be H2O, H2S, H2SE and H2TE. Are we clear? Okay. So these are the what? Compounds of hydrogen with the 16th group element. Okay. Now we will see the compounds of oxygen with oxygen. Okay, I mean to say the compound of group 16 family, with oxygen. Okay, so they forms two type of oxides. They form two types of oxide. One is EO2 type of oxide and one is EO3 type of oxide. Fine. So here if we write EO2 type of oxide, then there will be a SO2, there will be a SeO2, there will be a TeO2 and there will be a POO2. All are possible. Fine. Likewise, if you see O3, ozone is there, SO3 is there, SeO3 is there, TeO3 is there, and there is no POO3. Fine, because polonium does not stable in the +6 oxidation state. Fine, we will see some properties of this oxide. Okay, if you see the EO2 type of oxide, EO2 type of oxide, then here SO2 is in the gaseous form and it is having bent shape. Is it or not? Bent shape. Okay, it is having trigonal planar geometry and sp2 hybridization. Okay, so here I can write structure of SO2. Is it or not? This one is the structure of SO2. Fine, it is in the gaseous form. Okay, we will see the reduction property, reductive nature in the last, but first of all we will see all oxides. Likewise, if you see SeO3, then it is having two types of structure. One, in the gaseous phase it is in the monomer, and if you see the liquid phase, if you see the solid phase, it is in the polymeric form. Okay, and structure is same as SO2, same as above. Okay, instead of sulfur there will be an selenium. Sorry, I have written here SeO3, instead of there will be an SeO2. Fine. Okay, these both are, SeO2 and SO2 are acidic in nature. Now if we talk about TeO2, then TeO2 and POO2 are amphoteric in nature. It is amphoteric in nature. But if you compare amphoteric nature of TeO2 and POO2, then POO2 is more basic than TeO2. Fine, because it is a metal and metal oxides are basic in nature, but it is overall it is amphoteric. But if you compare these both oxide, then POO2 is more basic in nature than TeO2. Okay, fine. These both are ionic compound. These both are ionic. These are acidic and covalent. Okay, these are acidic, covalent, and in the gaseous form. Generally they are found in the gaseous form, and likewise TeO2 are ionic in the solid form, crystalline solid form. Is it? And they are amphoteric in nature. Okay, fine. So here if you react, how do I know that these are amphoteric in nature and these are acidic in nature? Simple, if you add H2O, SO2 plus H2O, it forms H2SO3, sulfurous acid. If any oxides, after reaction with water, if it forms acid, then it is an acidic oxide. Likewise, if any oxide reacts with water to form base, then it is basic oxide. Generally metal oxides are basic, non-metal oxides are acidic. Now it comes for the amphoteric. Amphoteric does not react with the water, but amphoteric reacts with the acid and base to form salt, and that's why it is called amphoteric oxide. And last, if you see neutral oxide, then neutral oxide will not react with the anyone, and that is what called neutral oxide. Fine. Likewise, if you write it for SeO2 in H2O, it is called selenous acid. The same structure, see, H2SeO3, selenous acid, sulfurous acid, selenous, and next we will see selenic acid. Okay, this one is selenous acid. Are we clear? Okay, the thing I will discuss about the reducing property of these oxides. Fine. Okay, reducing nature of this oxide. You see, reducing nature. Okay, now if you see, for the sulfur, +6 oxidation state is more stable than +4 oxidation state. But if you go from sulfur to selenium and selenium to tellurium, +6 oxidation state, stability of +6 oxidation state decreases. So here we can write stability of +6 oxidation state decreases. Okay, it means they will not form a stable compound in the +6 oxidation state. Fine. Okay, remember that point. Fine. If you see sulfur, if it is in the +4 oxidation state, that sulfur will be going into +6 oxidation state, because +6 oxidation state is more stable for sulfur than the +4 oxidation state. So it is what called self oxidation, and that's why it is a good reducing agent. Why sulfur is a good reducing agent? Because the +4 oxidation state will be converted into +6 oxidation state. That's why it is a good reducing agent. But if you talk about selenium and tellurium, +6 oxidation state stability decreases for the selenium and tellurium. So it will not easily go. Selenium and tellurium will undergo selenium and tellurium from the +4 oxidation state to +4 oxidation state easily. Is it or not? Easily it will not form. If it is going easily, then it is a good reducing agent, but if it is not going easily, then it is a bad reducing agent. Okay, so if you go from sulfur to selenium, selenium to tellurium, okay, reducing nature decreases. So reducing nature, we can write SO2 is stronger reducing agent than SeO2 than TeO2. Is it or not? Yes, it is. Fine. Okay, next we will see EO3 type of oxide. Okay, next we will see EO3 type of oxide. Okay, now there is first is the ozone. We will not discuss that. Ozone is an individual topic. Fine, so we will not discuss here. Ozone is a good oxidizing agent. And yes, one more thing, if I ask you ozone is a good oxidizing agent or H2O2 hydrogen peroxide is a good oxidizing agent, you will have to find this answer by yourself. Okay, again I am asking, ozone is a good oxidizing agent or H2O2 hydrogen peroxide is a good oxidizing agent? Fine, you will have to find answer by yourself. One more question, HNO3 forms nascent oxygen and that's why it is a good oxidizing agent. Likewise, ozone forms the nascent oxygen and that's why it is a good oxidizing agent. Likewise, hydrogen peroxide even forms the nascent oxygen and that's why it is a good oxidizing agent. And fourth one, chlorine water also forms nascent oxygen and that's why it is a good oxidizing agent, or you may say these all are good bleaching agents. Fine, but I ask you about between two. Concentrated HNO3 is the strongest oxidizing agent. Fine, okay, but I am asking you between these ozone and H2O2. Fine, O3 is a good oxidizing or H2O2. There is one reaction, you need to write it by yourself and I will tell you in the next lecture what is that reaction and what is the correct answer. Is it that? Okay, fine. If we see SO3, then SO3 is having three structure. SO3 is having three structure. Okay, we will write this all structure. Fine. Okay, one is simple structure, that is S double bond O and double bond O. Okay, this one is the monomeric structure or you can say monomer. Okay, another one is cyclic trimer. Another one is cyclic trimer and that is S double bond O and O. Likewise, S double bond O and O, and likewise S one oxygen double bond O and double bond O. That is what called SO3. And now if you join these bonds, then this will be a cyclic trimer. Okay, fine. Okay, next if you see third structure, then it is linear polymer. And if you see linear polymer, then oxygen, one oxygen is there, sulfur, again 2 double bond O, again oxygen, again sulfur, double bond O, and again here it will be N time. Okay, so these are the three structures of SO3. Okay, fine. So SO3 in sulfur, you can see this structure of SO3. This is structure of SO3 in the VBT, valence bond theory. Okay, and the structure, this monomeric structure, you can even write it like S double bond O. There is one covalent coordinate bond and second covalent coordinate bond. This is what called Lewis structure. Okay, what is the difference between VBT structure? This one is the VBT structure. in which you are showing d pi p pi bond and p pi p pi bond. Fine. What are the difference between these two structure? Then we can say in the Lewis structure always octet is completed. Always octet is completed. And here in VBT it doesn't concern with the octet, it just shows the actual structure, how that bond are getting formed and how those valencies are satisfied. Fine. So both structure are true but with the different concept. Okay. Fine. So this one is the what called SO3. Now if we see the next structure, that is for the SeO3, SeO3, then we can say in the solid state, it exists as a tetramer. It exists as a tetramer. Okay, cyclic tetramer you may say. It exists as a cyclic tetramer. Okay, we will write this structure here. Sorry. Okay, selenium 2 time and 4 time. Fine. A double bond O is there. Double bond O is there, double bond O is there, and likewise double bond O is there. Again I am writing one more oxygen atoms for the all selenium. Fine. Okay. Now I'll just join those oxygen atoms. Fine. I'll just join those oxygen atoms. This oxygen is bonded with the selenium. Here selenium and selenium. Okay, so this one is what called cyclic tetramer for SeO2 in the solid state. Okay, fine. Next we will see like same for the TeO3, same for the TeO3. Actually TeO3 exists as a TeO6 in the octahedral phase. Okay, TeO3 actually exists in the octahedral state. Okay, fine. SO3, SeO3 and TeO3 all are acidic by nature. All are acidic by nature. So with the reaction with the H2O, this forms H2SO4. Selenium forms H2Se4 and here tellurium form H6TeO6. Octahedral shape, and tellurium possess all 6 OH group. One is upside, one is downside, and there is one square in which there is 2 OH from this side and 2 OH from this side. Okay, so there is an octahedral shape in which there are 6 OH. You can write it as a or TeOH 6 times, and it is having an octahedral shape. Are we clear up to this? Okay, so these are the what you can write it as a oxide, and now I'll tell you halogen. Okay, so here group 16 element forms halides, but which type of halide, there we will write one table. Fine. So here I am giving heading halides, that is halogen. Okay, fine. It forms E2X2 type of halide, it forms EX2 type of halide, it forms EX4 type of halide, and it forms EX6 type of halide. Okay, fine. Now we will write for the oxygen, for the sulfur, for the selenium, for the tellurium, and next for the polonium. Okay, we will make one table and we will write the possible halides for this molecular formula. Fine. Now if you see hexahalide, then only sulfur, selenium and tellurium only forms the hexahalide. Sulfur, selenium and tellurium only forms the hexahalide, that is SF6, SEF6 and TEF6. Is it or not? Yes. Oxygen can't be hexavalent, even it can't be tetravalent. Fine. polonium never shows +6 oxidation state. Is it? Fine. Okay. Now we will fill some table. Here tellurium will not show, polonium will not show, and selenium will not show dihalides. Okay, you need to remember this. Fine. If you see other halogens that are possible, that is E2X2. Okay, O2F2 is possible, is it or not? Yes, O2F2 is possible. Okay, for the EX2, OF2 is possible, OCl2 is possible, and OBr2 is possible. Is it or not? Yes. If you see for the sulfur there is S2Cl2 is possible, S2F2 is possible, and S2Br2 is possible. Fine. Likewise if you see for the EX2, SF2 is possible, SCl2 is possible. Likewise for the EX4, SF4 is possible and SCl4 is possible. Okay, this is what for the sulfur possible halides. Now if we see about selenium, then there is Se2Cl2 and Se2Br2. Okay, Se2Cl2 and Se2Br2. Okay, if you see for the EX4, SeF4, SeCl4 and SeBr4 are possible. Okay, still iodide is not introduced, you see. Okay, fine. If we next see, if we see next, then for the tellurium, for the EX2, there is TeCl2, TeBr2. There are two possible halides for EX2. If we see EX4, then all possible are forms TeF4, TeCl4, TeBr4 and TeI4. These all are possible. Fine. Okay. If you see for the polonium, then here again PoCl2 is possible, PoBr2 is possible. Okay, PoCl2 is possible and PoBr2 is possible. If you don't see these letters, then we will convert some into another color. Fine. Okay, and for the polonium, if you see here for the PO, that is PoCl4, PoBr4 and PoI4 are possible. Again, if you don't see this color, then we will convert it into possible different color. If we see the color, then you can easily see those color. Fine. Okay, so this one is the what you can say halogen table. Fine. These are the all possible halides for the 16th group family. Are we clear? Okay. Next we will see halogen we have seen, hydrogen we have seen, oxygen we have seen. Fine. Next we will see the oxo acids of the 16th group family. Okay, oxo acid for the 16th group family. In these are the very easy topic. Okay, oxo acid. Okay, if you see oxo acid, here I'll write first, that is sulfoxylic acid. Yet the structure of the acid is not determined, and it is only forms in the solution and used it in a solution. You can say it is a kind of intermediate, that is what called H2SO2. Okay, second I will write sulfurous acid series, sulfurous acid series. Fine. In which first of all I will write the main sulfurous acid. Okay, the structure for that is H2SO3. Fine. S There is 3 oxygen atom and 2 hydrogen atom. So we may write there is one double bond, there is one OH, there is second OH, and there will be one lone pair present on the sulfur atom. Fine. This one is sulfurous acid. If you see the second acid, that is thiosulfurous acid. What it is called? Thiosulfurous acid. Thiosulfurous acid. Okay. What you will do for this? You just replace S double bond O with the S double bond S. So same structure, but here I will write S double bond S. There is one lone pair, OH, and OH is same. So this one is what called thiosulfurous acid. Easy or not? Yes, it is easy. Fine. Third, if you see hydro, or you can say hyposulfurous acid. Okay, hydro or hyposulfurous acid. If you see this acid, okay, first of all I'll have to tell you what is the pyrosulfuric acid. Last, if you phosphoric acid, if you see the main acid you mix 2 times and remove H2O from the between, that is what called di or pyrosulfurous acid. Okay, from the pyrosulfuric acid, if you remove the oxygen and if you attach the phosphorus, and here it is sulfur, if you attach, then it will form hyposulfurous acid. Is it or not? So before this we have to prepare pyrosulfurous acid. So here I'll write from the second, it is first, it is second, and it is third, and here I will write fourth, di or pyrosulfurous, okay, acid. Okay, fine. If you see, I'll tell you how. See, I am drawing only sulfurous acid, S double bond O. Okay, there will be a 2 OH group, OH, there will be a OH group, and there will one lone pair. Is it or not? Okay. Again, if I write S double bond O, OH, lone pair, and double bond O. Okay, fine. If I remove one H2O from the 2 sulfurous acid minus H2O, then it will form S double bond O, OH, and one lone pair, and there will be a oxygen sulfur double bond O, OH, and lone pair. Is it or not? Okay. There is only one exception. There is only one exception. Okay, this oxygen is not S and S, but instead of this structure, here we are having structure same OH, that is OH written, I have written OH here, then S double bond O, the same S double bond O, lone pair is in the perfect position. This oxygen is attached with the sulfur. So here sulfur bond is there, oxygen is in the form of OH, and there is double bond O. That is what you can write di or pyrosulfuric acid, sulfurous acid. Okay, fine. Now what is about the hypo? Remove oxygen from the pyrosulfuric acid, sulfurous acid. Remove oxygen from the middle, from the sulfurous acid, and what it will called? Hyposulfurous. Okay, we have already seen in the phosphorus. If you remove this oxygen from the pyro, it will become hypo. Is it? So structure of hypo will be S lone pair, OH double bond O, S double bond O, OH, and lone pair. Is it or not? This one is the correct structure. Okay, so we will write these structures in the previous slide. Okay, there is one exception in the pyro, but there is not exception in the hypos concept. Okay, these all are the sulfurous acid. Are we clear? Okay, so in the previous slide we will just write a structure of di or pyrosulfurous acid, which is OH, S double bond O, one lone pair, S double bond O, OH, and OH. Is it or not? Yes. And if you write hypo or hydrosulfurous acid, then it would be OH, S double bond O, lone pair, S double bond O, lone pair, and OH. This one is the hyposulfurous acid. I think we are clear for this, is it? There is only one exceptional structure. Otherwise, pyro means you take two acids and remove H2O from between, that is what called pyro. And from the oxygen, if you remove oxygen and join that two central atoms, that is what called hypo. Fine. If you are having pyro and if you put one more oxygen atom, there will be a peroxy linkage, and what is that called? Pyro disulfurous acid or sulfuric acid. Okay. Fine. Next we will see a sulfuric acid series. Okay, one more acid is there. Okay, sulfuric acid series. Okay, so if you write sulfuric acid, then it is H2SO4 structure later. Second, if you see, that is what called sulfuric acid. Okay, if you see H2SO5, okay, that is what called Keros acid, and that is what called peroxo monosulfuric acid. Is it or not? Yes, it is. Okay, another one, third one, if you see, then there will be a pyro, or you may say disulfuric acid. Okay, and what is that called? You can call it as a oleum. Is it or not? Yes. Fine. Fourth one, there will be a hyposulfuric acid, and the last one will be Marshall's acid, H2S2O8, that is what called Marshall's acid, and you can write peroxo disulfuric. Okay, fine. If you write this structure, then structure for the H2SO4 is, okay, sixth one I will write here, thiosulfuric acid. Okay, fine. If you write sulfuric acid, then S double bond O, OH, and OH. Now if you put these two molecules here, and if you remove H2O, then this OH will be here, S double bond O, double bond O. Fine. There will be a oxygen atom, there will be a sulfur, double bond O, OH, and OH. What is that? Is called disulfuric acid. Is it or not? Yes. If you remove oxygen from the between, then it is what called hypo, that is S double bond O, double bond O, S double bond O, double bond O, OH, and OH. Is it? Yes. If you put one more oxygen in here, then it will form peroxo acid, then SOOS, double bond O, double bond O, OH, and here double bond O, and OH. Is it? Fine. If you see the H2SO4, that is sulfuric acid, and here peroxo monosulfuric acid. Fine. So here you put one more oxygen any of the side. So S. Okay, I am sorry. Here we have did one mistake. Here there should be double bond O. Is it or not? Here there should be a double bond O. H2SO4. Okay. Fine. So here if you see S. Okay. Here also we did one mistake. I am sorry for that. Okay. Here if you see, there should be a double bond O. Okay, there should be a double bond O. Okay, other all structures are clear. Fine. Okay, so here H2SO5, that is S double bond O, double bond O, and OH. One more oxygen is there due to peroxy linkage. That is what called peroxo monosulfuric acid. And what I told you in the thiosulfuric acid, you just remove one S double bond O and you put S double bond S instead of double bond O. That is what called thiosulfuric acid. So if you see here, the sulfuric acid structure, this sulfuric acid structure is S double bond O, OH and OH. Instead of that, I will write S double bond O, but here S double bond S and OH and OH. If you write, then what it called would be thiosulfuric acid. Are we clear? Okay. So this one is what we are calling as a sulfuric acid series. Okay, sulfuric acid series. Are we clear? Next, last we will see. Okay, last we will see thionic acid series. Thionic acid series. Thionic acid series. Okay, in which I'll first write dithionic acid. Dithionic acid. Okay, fine. I'll tell you one more thing we have already studied. See, here there is hydrosulfurous acid, hydrosulfurous acid, hyposulfurous acid. Even you can write here dithionous acid. Dithionous acid. Okay, what is in that? That is in the sulfurous acid series. If you take a sulfurous acid series, we have studied one acid, that is what called hydro and hyposulfurous acid. You can write its third name, dithionous acid. Okay, fine. Okay, if you see now dithionic acid, fine. So in that sulfur double bond O, OH. Okay, now there will be a S double bond O and OH. Okay, fine. That is what called dithionic acid. Now if you see, there will be a more number of sulfur atoms. See, S double bond O, OH. Here S n times will be there, and there will be S double bond O and OH. That is what you called as a polythionic acid. Polythionic acid. Okay. Third, if you see the example from the polythionic acid, first if I write hexathionic acid, hexathionic acid, there will be 6 sulfur atoms. So S double bond O and OH is the common, but here if you see, I have written hexathionic, so total sulfur will be 6, and there will be 2 sulfur atoms in the outer side. So in between 2 sulfur there should be 4 sulfur atom, and that's why here I can write Sn minus 2. Total, if there is an n number of sulfur atom, then here in between there should be an n minus 2 sulfur atom, and the molecular formula, there will be an H2, there will be an O6, fine, SnO6. Is it? Fine. Hexathionic acid. Okay, if I write tetrathionic acid, then if you write tetrathionic acid, then here S double bond O, OH, S should be now only 2 times, because we are already having 2 sulfur atom. So S double bond O and OH. Are we clear? Okay. So this is what you can study in the 16th group family. Okay. There is one difference between rhombic sulfur and monoclinic sulfur, that I will tell you. Okay. Fine. Next we will see allotropes of sulfur. Next we will see allotropes of sulfur. Fine. In the allotropes of sulfur, we will study monoclinic and rhombic sulfur. 2 types of sulfur, that is what? Monoclinic and rhombic. Okay, rhombic and monoclinic. Okay, there is one transition temperature. You can convert it into rhombic to monoclinic, even you can convert monoclinic into rhombic. The temperature is 369 Kelvin. That is what called transition temperature. Okay. We will write few points about rhombic and monoclinic. Rhombic, also called alpha sulfur. Monoclinic can also called as a beta sulfur. Crystal. This forms octahedral crystal. This forms octahedral crystal, and here this forms needle-like crystal, needle-shaped crystal. Okay, fine. If you see the density of the crystal, if you see the melting point of the crystal, then here we can write, melting point is 385.8 Kelvin. Okay, and here you can write 393 Kelvin. Okay, this one is the melting point of the sulfur, monoclinic and rhombic sulfur. Fine. Okay, if you write solubility, then it is water insoluble, and if you write it is soluble in organic solvent like CH2, alcohol and ether. Okay, fine. If you write density is 2.06 gram per centimeter cube, and here if you write density is what, 1.98 gram per centimeter cube. Fine. Okay, solubility if you write, then it is water insoluble, and again CH2 soluble but organic solvent insoluble. That is what we can write about monoclinic sulfur and sulfur. Fine. Okay, between the above 369 Kelvin temperature, monoclinic sulfur is stable, and below 369 Kelvin rhombic sulfur is present. Okay, so if you ask for the sulfur, which sulfur is stable at the room temperature, then rhombic sulfur is stable at a room temperature. Okay, so we are keeping up to here for the 16th